In this video, we'll take a look at the received web forms section of your event management system. When you log into your account, go ahead and click on the received icon at the top of the screen. When you land on this page, what you're going to see here is a listing of all the received web forms that have come into your account from your website. This could be anything from your availability checker, contact form, instant quote, or message form. It's all going to flow into this central location. Now, obviously, when you receive one of these, it's always sent to you by email. But email can be a little unreliable. Sometimes things land in the spam folder or the junk folder, or sometimes, depending on an ISP, they may not deliver it at all. So, this is a great place where you can come in, think of it almost as your inbox, where you can come in and review all the web forms that have been received through your website. Now, what the system will do here is it will consolidate them all together for that particular client and event date. So if you have a client that for a particular event has submitted multiple forms, let's say they've submitted multiple versions of an instant quote, or they've checked your availability, then from there they went on to the instant quote system. This will keep all of them consolidated into a single line so you don't see the same person in that same event repeated over and over and over again down the line. So when you come in here and you land on this page, we'll start up here at the top. So if there's somebody specific or a specific event that you're searching for, and you want to review all the web forms that have been received, you can type in the client name or email address up here at the top. Or alternatively, you can jump to any period of time. So if you want to go back and look at all the received web forms that you got, last March or something, you can click on that particular date and the page will show you all the received web forms starting at that date, moving forward in chronological order. Right here in the middle, you're going to see a drop down that allows you to filter what you're looking at. So what you're seeing here by default are all received web forms. So everything that has come in through your account through any of your web forms. So again, it could be availability checker, contact form, quote, message form, etc. The next option down is just to view web forms that are associated with existing events. So for example, we have an event in our system for Kelly Taylor, which is a wedding that's upcoming. And here, these are the communications that pertain to that. So you'll see the status here in parentheses indicate that it's a booked event. Just below that, you can view web forms that are associated with prospects. So these are events that are in the prospect status. So you'll see the status here is prospect. And these would appear on the prospects tab up here at the top. And again, these are any received web forms that are associated with those prospects. And last, and this may be something that you want to check on a regular basis, are web forms that are not associated with any event or prospect that are in your system. So these are, in essence, the true inquiries. These are the ones that have come in through an availability checker or an instant quote or a contact form. They filled out and they're not yet associated with an event or a prospect in your system. They're just a web form that was received through your website. So let's go ahead and take a look at each of these and we'll look at a couple examples here. So let's go back to web forms associated with events. Here's Kelly Taylor. And just to show you what I'm looking at, if I go to my events tab, I have the Taylor and Sanders wedding reception down here on January 1st. That is Kelly Taylor that's associated with. So we'll go back to that and take a look at it. So you'll see here from the icon on the left that the most recent web form that we received came in through the message form. And in parentheses there, it's showing me their event date. Again, Kelly Taylor, the status of the event is booked. It will show me Kelly's email address. And just below that, it will show me the date of the last received web form. So if Kelly Taylor has submitted 30 different forms over the course of a year leading up to the event, this is just showing me, again, as sort of an inbox, the most recent one here up on top. Moving over to the right, the first icon is to view all of the received web forms for this client for this event date. And clicking on this icon is the same as if you click on the client's name or this icon over to the left. Any one of these is just going to bring up a laundry list of all the web forms that were received. Just to the right of that, this is the edit event. So if I click on this, this is actually going to bounce me over to the events tab, and you'll see it brings up this event. So let's go back. And then the last icon here would be to delete all of these web forms that were received from this particular client. So let's go ahead and click on this view all and bring up the list. So you'll see here now we have received web forms for the Taylor and Sanders wedding reception, and now we have a listing with the date and time of all the web forms that have been received for this client and this event date. So the most recent one received up here is this message form. That's what was indicated in the icon. And we can click on this if we want to view a copy of the web form that was received. So this is a message form. It's the very simple contact form that we have. Let's go ahead and look at this instant quote that was received a little bit earlier before the message form. And you'll see in here, we have all the details of that particular quote that came through. And then off to the right, next to the date and time that these were received, you'll see here we have another menu with some additional options. So again, view, that just brings it up so you can view it. Edit event, that'll pop me back over to that events tab if I want to directly from here go over and make some edits to the event, or I want to look at the event information. Send to API if you're on the premium or enterprise versions and you're using Zapier to connect this event data with any third-party applications, you can click on that. Or delete, this will delete just this one specific web form, whereas the delete icon on the main screen would delete all of them. So if you want to just come in and delete one individually received web form, you can do that by locating it in the list and then clicking on the icon to delete it. When you get into the instant quote, you have an additional option in here, the redo quote feature, which is where it will reload the instant quote system and bring all that client data back into it. So if you receive an instant quote from a client and you want to rerun that or redo it and change any of the information, you can do that as well right through here. So again, a reverse chronological listing of all the web forms received from this client for this event date. And again, you're going to want to think of this in that regard as sort of an inbox with the newest one on top. So I want to toggle back quickly to web forms associated with prospects just to show you that from here you'll notice we have the same edit icon, but this time it says edit prospect. So if I click on this, you'll notice that rather than going to the events screen and loading that event, it's instead going to the prospect screen and loading all the details for this prospect. So same functionality, just going to that prospect section instead of the event section. And lastly, we will show you here web forms not associated with events. So let's say we received this particular instant quote from Jeff Holmes for an upcoming event. They're not in our system, and we know this because they're not associated with any events or prospects. But we have here now a slightly different icon. Rather than an edit icon, we have a create event or prospect icon. And when I click on that, with a single click, I can create either an event or a prospect. So obviously, somebody comes in through one of your web forms, you've spoken with them, they want to book with you, they're ready to go. You can come in here, click this icon, and create it into an event directly. But let's just say it's a random inquiry that you received through your availability checker or your instant quote system, and you want to create a prospect. And so what you would do is you would come in here, locate them, click this icon and click create prospect. Now you might ask, why would I want to create a prospect? Well, we'll go over this a little bit more in another video, but essentially once you've created a prospect from here, you can set up an automated email sequence to send them automated emails and text messages that can go out at scheduled intervals to provide additional information that will hopefully guide them down the path of booking with you. The last thing that we'll mention here is when you look at web forms that are associated with events or prospects, and for example, back to this Kelly Taylor, and you click on this view all, and you'll see all four of them here. You'll notice that this is very similar, if not identical, as to when you would go to the events tab, locate that event, and click on the event communications where it pools together all of the sent and received items for this particular event. We scroll down here to the bottom, this received web forms, you'll notice it's the same 4 web forms that we were looking at in the received tab. That's because they are, in essence, attached to this event. They belong to this particular client for this event. So we can see those in either location. We can see them on the Event Communications tab that is associated with this particular event, or on our Received tab where we can look at our received web forms. We can locate Kelly Taylor. We can search for her by name or by email address. And here we can also view a list of all those received web forms.